Hey, this is your girl, the one and only Spicy, and I'm here today discussing healing after narcissistic abuse, and specifically, this topic is about co parenting with a narcissist. Co parenting with a narcissist, there are so many different topics just underneath that. That topic that I can talk about. There's so many. So I have already told myself that this will not be the last conversation that I have on co-parenting with a narcissist, only because this is something that is currently going on within my life. So this is not going to be the only episode in which I discuss this. There's so much to talk about, so many different points to hit, but we'll go ahead and get started. So, co parenting with a narcissist is difficult, it is challenging, it is tiresome. At times, you might feel like you just kind of want to give up and throw the whole thing away. At times, you might feel as though you are afraid and fear, and it is just an all around unhealthy dynamic to be a part of. So in my case, I didn't realize that my child's father was a narcissist until I started to reflect and started to add the stuff up. And when I started to add it up and I saw the receipt said that he was a narcissist. That's what the receipt said. And once I accepted that and started to live accordingly and do better for myself and to separate myself from that madness, I realized that that's when, things started to move forward. And that's when things do move forward, when you decide to separate yourself from the madness. So, co-parenting with a narcissist is non-existent. There's no such thing as co-parenting with a narcissist. At least you can try for parallel parenting, which is essentially you raise the child one way, the other parent is raising the child in their way, in their home. But at the same time, at the end of the day, both parents at least want to see their kids thrive and to be healthy and to be contributing members of society, and to also create a legacy for themselves. Like, co-parenting is when you both can have healthy communication, interactions, and you can work together. Because, like I said, you still have that intention and purpose for your child's life to be healthy, to be stable, and to also be safe. Now, parallel parenting, y'all might not have any communication outside of the child, and what's going on with the children, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just y'all might not be able to communicate even in person, over the phone, or yeah, you might not be able to communicate in those ways. But parallel parenting and co-parenting, at least at the end of the day, you want to see your child succeed. Now, when you are co-parenting with a narcissist, like, understand that if you are essentially the only person that really cares about your kids getting what they need, and living healthy, establishing, healthy standards and expectations, for their own lives, and just creating, a beautiful life for your child, even through your own history with abuse, especially if you're surviving and finally made it to the level where you can actually thrive from this abuse and do something better with yourself. So if you are the only person that cares, that understand that you will be single parenting, you will be single parenting. So the most important thing for you to do is to make sure that you have yourself together. Now, it does take some time because I understand that people are at different levels of independence as far as just being financially set, having your own place, having your own car, not really having to rely on anyone. So it may be difficult, because you're essentially depending on support from another person who had this child. They laid down with you, um, they had this child with you, they knew exactly what they were doing, but now when it came time to, and when it comes time to actually, do something about it, to actually be there and care about, your children and to support them, they're not there. They're just not there. So if you are essentially co-parenting or think that you're co-parenting with a narcissist, understand that you are single parenting. And the minute that you understand that's when essentially you're going to be set free. And that's when the sky's the limit at your point, because you can just go off into the world and improve yourself and do what you need to do. So narcissists are very codependent. They're very, very, very codependent. And at times it's kind of sad because they do things for validation and for approval, and it just be so obvious that they're doing these things for validation and for approval, especially when you step back and you stop doing things for attention and validation. Like, you start to look around and see like different people and how they operate and what they're doing, if they're doing things because they actually want to do these things, or if they're doing things because there's an agenda and there's something that they seek to gain from doing these things. In typical healthy relationships, there is give and take, but when it comes down to narcissistic people, it's take and take. At the end of the day, take and take. So co-parenting with a narcissist is very difficult. It's very difficult only because they do lie. In my own experience, I've dealt, like I said, my child's father, he's lied, he's stolen things, like he's stolen money. I've even experienced him stealing my car. And it's like, you would think, how does he have access to these things? Well, at this specific point in time, we were residing with each other. So that's already a no-no right there. Residing with a narcissist, that is definitely a no-no. But for the most part, they lie, they steal. In my own past experience, whatever you have, whatever resources that you have that they feel as though they can gain from, they will come in and try to figure out a way to get a hold of it and to get a part of it. They definitely come through and try to figure out a way to take your things, to take things that you've worked for, to take things that you have been blessed with by your higher power that you subscribe to. They essentially will come in and basically just take your stuff. They do that. They do that by attaching themselves to you, by making them seem as though they're trustworthy and that they'll support you and be there for you. But then at the end of the day, you realize that this person was literally only using you. And typically you find out through telling them no. You find out by telling them no. Like, if they want you to do something and you actually can't do it, like, once you tell them no and see how they react, that's when stuff start falling into place. So whenever you get out of the narrative of who they think you are and what type of value that you bring to them, and especially your stuff, what your stuff brings to them, the type of value that brings to them. Once you get outside of that, it's like, okay, get ready for narcissistic rage. Get ready for just all of the stuff that's really about to come with them trying to take you down. So co-parenting with a narcissist, like I said, is very challenging. And it's a very spiritual matter as well, because in order for you to be a healthy parent, and not only a healthy person for yourself, you have to have peace. You have to have peace and calm. And the thing about narcissistic people is that they're very chaotic on the inside. So they're not actually peaceful on the inside at all. They don't have peace. They don't have love. They don't have happiness. So co-parenting with someone that's like this, and you're trying to be a healthy parent, you're trying to thrive from abuse, and you're trying to do something with your life, this could be a very toxic thing. It could be very toxic. Co-parenting with people like this, essentially you have to look at them as being liabilities, because they don't actually help push things forward. If anything, they'll be very counterproductive. So everyone has their own personal experiences with narcissists, because they all have different behaviors. Now, there is a pattern, but like I said, they all have different behaviors. So, um, what a malignant narcissist would do would probably be completely different from what a covert narcissist would do. But at the end of the day, if you look at it spiritually, it's just toxicity, and there's just varying degrees and levels of this toxicity. Just like when you're elevating, and you're trying to be high vibe, there's always new levels of elevation and progression that you can go to. So just think about that the other way. You can keep getting lower and lower and lower and lower. You feel what I'm trying to say? So this entity that you are co-parenting with isn't of your highest good or even for your children. So the best thing that you can do is to focus on your own life and try to separate them out of your life as much as possible. Now, in my own case, the person that I am co-parenting with, as all narcissists are, that person is very inconsistent. They also discard their child whenever they feel like it. The way in which they do that is by not calling, by not checking up, by not following up. They also lack boundaries. The narcissistic person that I am not even co-parenting with, just that person, my son's father, he also would do things like he would show up at my house without telling me. And also, if you allow a narcissistic person into your house, they won't have boundaries either. They'll go look through your stuff. They might end up laying on your bed. And they might be going through your fridge. Just basic decency and respect these people don't have. So they don't have boundaries. They don't understand them. They kind of just prefer to be as inconsistent as possible, and they don't want to be held accountable, and they don't want to take responsibility for nothing. So if you already know that for a fact, that they lie, they're inconsistent, they're not responsible people, and they also don't take accountability, then you already know that that person is not going to be a good parent, because they can't even do it for themselves. And that's the thing, is narcissistic people have a very hard time with maintaining their lives, with doing things in a healthy manner, and even with just healthy progression. They have a very hard time with doing these things because they can't manage their lives. So those facts alone should be enough to tell you, like, that this person is not going to be a healthy parent, or even a healthy person to be around your child. So there are different things that you can do to improve your life as you are raising your kids, essentially by yourself with a non-existent partner. There are things that you can do. You can definitely go no contact. That's something that I recommend. No contact essentially is they don't have access to your social media, and they don't have access to your phone number. So essentially, they cannot call you. With that being said, blocking phone calls, and then also blocking text messages on your phone, and keeping everything written. So I suggest email communication so that everything is documented, especially if you plan on taking this person to court. Those types of documentation are going to be very helpful, so that a third party, if it's a judge or someone else in the court that has to review these documents, has them, and all the facts are there on paper. Another thing that you can do is keep everything, like I said, very logical and rational, especially while you're having these conversations. Ask straight to the point, direct questions, and do not address anything that is frivolous. Do not address anything that does not have to do with the child, because narcissists will do that. They want to pull you into having these long, drawn out conversations that eventually turn into heart to heart, so that they could hoover their way back in and start the BS again. And that's not really what you need at this point, because you've had enough BS, you've realized it, and now it's time to move on. So why would you need more BS? If anything, you just need health. You need more things that are healthy, and you need to feel personally, safe and secure and stable within yourself. So the chaos, and the madness that you've experienced from this person, them coming back and having a heart-to-heart talk with you, isn't really going to do much. So go no contact, keep everything written, And if it doesn't have anything to do with the child, then don't address it. The things about narcissists is once they realize that they cannot, they don't have any power over you, they don't have any dominion, they cannot control you. Once they realize that they can't do that, they will get mad, they will get petty, they will get spiteful, and they will want to take revenge. So the ways in which they do that is, like I said, they'll discard the children, like they won't call. They also will not consistently help with support. Or if you have anything going on with the children in general, like appointments that need they need like checkups, any type of appointment or anything that is beneficial to your child, they might not want to show up unless it's something that could potentially be, superficial and give them, an ego boost, like sporting events. If your child is really good in a particular sport or just in some type of extracurricular activity, that's when they show up. And 9 times out of 10, the narcissist won't even like financially support the child to even be able to do that or create the environment so that they can thrive. But they will be there taking all of the credit. Yes, they will. Yes, they will, because that's what narcissists do. They will be there to take all the credit, meanwhile, didn't do anything. So, with that being said, just understand that they're going to just be counterproductive to anything that you want to do. In my own case, it was more so from the abandonment. So because I didn't want to, deal with my child's father in an intimate way, it's just not, he just wasn't someone that I wanted in my life. I'm the type of woman that believes that I cannot be with a man that has kids and he doesn't take care of his kids. So with that being said, just because you're my child's father doesn't mean that I have to continue to be intimate with you, continue to sleep with you, continue to have a relationship with you. And at the end of the day, you're not taking care of your child. So if I was to stay with this person, I would be going against myself and what I know to be true for myself and what I want for my life. So there are other things that you could potentially do if the partner that you're dealing with is very physically abusive. You might or stalking. You might have to look into court orders and go on the legal route. But for the most part, you have to do what you need to do to make sure that your kids are safe and that you're stable. We typically tend to spend a lot of time focusing on the kids in general, but with this specific topic with narcissism, you have to understand like it's not really about the kids at the end of the day. It's about the kids, but it's not about the kids as directly as you would think. It's about the kids. Don't get me wrong. It's just the fact that you have to be healthy and you have to be good because it's up to you. Like our kids can't pay bills. Our kids can't go work at jobs. Our kids can't do the things that we as adults have the cognitive ability to be able to do. So with that being said, it is about the kids, but it's also about your health and your safety first so that you can then give them a healthy and stable place to be. So it's about the kids, but when it comes to co-parenting with a narcissist, it's really not, because at this point you have to separate yourself and understand that, even on a spiritual level, this is a spiritual thing that you're dealing with. This is an enemy. This is someone who does not want to see you progress and move forward. This is someone who will literally turn their back on their own kids just out of spite for you, because maybe you don't want to deal with them and their BS anymore, or you don't want to be controlled by them and you don't want to filter your whole sense of self and being through them. And why even do so? Narcissists are some of the most codependent people ever. They're very codependent. They look for validation and attention from everybody. They will do anything to come out on top. They will do anything. They will take any opportunity, no matter anything, just to move and push forward. But the one thing they don't do is they will not actually sit there and build a foundation or have better values and morals, or even try to do the healing work that is required of us to do, especially if you want to do something better with your life. So Like I said earlier, co-parenting with a narcissist is non-existent. Essentially, you are single parenting. There's so many topics to get into. I look forward to speaking about all of these topics and just talking about my own personal experiences. But yeah, personal experience, co-parenting with a narcissist is a bunch of BS. Don't subscribe to it. If you're that type of person that's like, oh, I'm being nice, I want to do this for the kids, do it for the kids. If you're that type of person, like, I completely get it. Like, you're a harmonious person, you want peace, but the person that you're dealing with does not want peace. So how's that supposed to work out? You want peace and you want to compromise, and the other person just wants control. It's just not going to work. So if you're that type of person that's like, oh, I want to do it for the kids, like, understand that when it comes to spiritual warfare, when it comes to enemies, it's not about being nice. Now it's about, being logical, being practical, taking the right steps that you need to take, and having discernment so that you can do something better. So that's all I have today. This is your girl, the one and only Spicy, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I will see you in the next one.